And we are live. Thank you guys so much for joining us for another episode of Collecting Profit with myself, Anthony Picksburgh, and my buddy Michael, Huddle Card Collection. He's also the Thrifting Goomba on YouTube as well, so make sure you guys check that out as well. I'll make sure that I link both in the description. If they're not both down there now, I will edit that after the show and make sure the second one's in there as well. I do want to welcome our guest, and I do want to give him a chance to introduce himself, but this is Adam from Adam's Card Closet. Down below, I do have all three of our Instagram, should any of you guys have questions about anything that we talk about in the show. But again, we do welcome you to leave some comments here live, so that way we can interact with you guys, and also leave some comments if you're watching this on replay, so that way we can engage with you that way as well. But before we get started with our guest, Michael, is there anything going on over on Huddle Card Collection that you want the people to know about this week?
We got our videos coming out. We got Football Friday coming up. Still working on my inventory to start doing live rip and ships, trying to get that all together. I guess I have a few more things than I thought I realized I have, but honestly, I'm looking forward to to tonight. I mean, I've always Adam and I have known each other for a while, an unbelievable, generous member of the card community, giving up his time, his knowledge, and everything. And anybody who has thought about this kind of stuff, I mean, I think we got the right guy, and you're gonna learn a lot, and I am so looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, I am too. And if you guys saw last week's episode over on Huddle Card Collection, then you'll kind of know why Adam's here this week. We got to talking about TTM. We got to talking a little bit about his YouTube channel, as he's one of what Michael deems to be the TTM experts here on YouTube. So we got to talking a little bit about him and the kind of content he creates. And as a result, Michael said, hey, you know what? I'm going to reach out to Adam and see if he'd be interested in kind of continuing the conversation from last week on Huddle Card Collection. So if you guys haven't had a chance to see that, you can always go back and click through Huddle Card Collection's old videos, and you will see last week's episode where we kind of started talking about TTM. And I was asking a lot of questions because I've heard about people doing this, but I myself have never done it. And I was really curious about it. So Michael was gracious enough to make the connection here with Adam, who I'm going to give a moment to give him the floor to kind of share with you guys his channel and anything else that he has going on that he'd like to make you guys aware of.
All right. So thank y'all very much for allowing me this opportunity to share the wealth of knowledge that I do have on this. I sit there and love through the mail autographs. That's one of my biggest things I do on my channel. I also actually got a trivial quiz game on my show that goes on Sundays as well, where two people go against each other and try to guess which card I have behind a placard. And then they sit there and will get points and have an opportunity to win. That's a ton of fun. Usually I'll have a good solid 50 to 75 people there on that stream watching. It's a fun time trying to see people guess, and you can have a chance to guess. And actually we'll try to do a guess who for the chat as well, to where they have a chance to win a card like the contestants do on the show or whatnot. I'm a big Braves fan, big Lakers, Bears, and Penguins.
Nice.
I live in Arkansas, so we really don't have no big teams here, or no pro sports teams here, should I say. So I had to sit there and just snatch one here, snatch one there that kind of fit my fancy. And those are my sports teams that I like, just a sports junkie. I like any Olympics or whatever. If it's sports, I love it. So
that's awesome, man. Really happy to hear that. And again, your Instagram and your YouTube channel both go by Adam's Card Closet. So if you guys are looking him up, that's what you're going to look for. But yeah, I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us. Before we kind of dive in and I start asking you questions, I do want to say what's up to a few people in the chat. We got Craig in the house, Landshark Picker. Really appreciate you being here, Craig. Pretty pumped to be meeting up with you here in a couple of weeks, my friend. We got my guy Mark in the house. Really excited to have him here. While Mark's here, I want to take the opportunity to share with you guys a great opportunity for anybody that's like local to the Pittsburgh area or able to travel to the Pittsburgh area. In March on the 25th, Mark's actually having a big sports card showcase here at South Point, and he's bringing in some really big time autograph guests. There's also going to be some content creators there, and I'm not talking about like myself, you know what I mean? I don't put myself in that range. She's bringing in like the big guns, you know what I mean? The card collector twos, and you know,
wow.
I don't want to say for sure X number, you know, this person or that person is going to be there, but anybody who's anyone in this area is probably going to be at Mark's show because the stuff he's doing here in Pittsburgh is something a lot of guys are really excited about. Our card shops here in this town are really, really awesome. But like, in my opinion, I feel like our shows could be a little more frequent because we have such like a avid collector base here in Pittsburgh. The thing that's really awesome about what Mark's doing is he's kind of bringing more of like that big show feel to Pittsburgh on a more consistent basis, kind of like the Dallas card show type shows, or like the Burbank card shows, or, you know, those territorial type shows. Like, we don't have anything kind of on that level. We might have like one or two like big shows a year, but beyond that, they're like small, like shows that are at like a mall or, you know, like a VFW type place. You know, we don't have very many of like the bigger shows. So I'm super excited to be partnering with them as far as like setting up as a vendor at these shows and just seeing like the hobby grow here locally. So if anybody's able to make that, that is March the 25th. It should be a really good time. Both myself and Chef Marte will be set up with tables. So come by and say hello. But yeah, again, thank you so much. We got my guy Steve Bickler in the house. Good to see you, Steve. Really appreciate you being here. This is actually, believe it or not, a green screen behind me. I wish these were like my LeBron cards behind me. That would make me a very, very happy man. But one of these days, Steve, that's what I'm working my way up to, man.
That's what Adam's house looks like.
Is it? Nice. Yeah, that's what I want to build up to, like wallpaper of like LeBron slabs one day. But you know what? Honestly, I could probably make a nice little section. I probably couldn't do what I have behind me, but I could probably make a nice little dent in LeBron now, thankfully.
Very cool.
Let's see. So would love to have Ryan from Card Collector. Ryan's one of the nicest guys. Yeah, Ryan is a really nice guy. His shop's pretty cool too. So if anybody is like able to make it to the Pittsburgh area, Columbus is only like 3.5 hours from Pittsburgh, and his shop's like one of a kind too. You know, he has that really cool like card bar you can kind of walk up to and you know, kind of do rips at. He has like the entire wall that's like of bargain bins. You know, closest thing I've seen kind of to like the fish bowl. Kind of, only his is just like a wall outside of like an entire room. Really, really cool shop. Highly recommend it. It's like one of those like spots you just got to check out once. So yeah, getting into some of the questions I have for you, Adam. One of the things I really want to know is, how did you get into TTM?
Yeah.
Like what was like, what made you be like, you know what, I think I'm going to take this card or this item and send it to this, you know, guy that, you know, I've never met through the mail. Like,
Okay.
what, you know, how did you get into that? What got you interested in collecting autographs, that kind of stuff?
I sit there and just was inspired by other people I saw on YouTube doing it. I'll shout out like House of Cards, HOSS of Cards. Sit there and was big into doing TTMs and several other channels. But I sit there and was just talking to a couple of them via the chats and leaving comments on their videos saying, oh man, I need to start doing this. I've always been interested in it and so on and so forth. And was just too scared to start, you know, just too scared, didn't know how, blah, 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 making excuses and so on and so forth. So he just kept encouraging me. So then, just kind of kept basically going to motivate me to get started. And I just sent out one. And then that's all it took. I was hooked afterwards. And I just realized how easy it was there after that one. And I just kept going.
That's awesome, man. And that's really cool to hear that, like, it was the actual, like, YouTube community that encouraged you to do that. And shout out to Haas too, man. Like, I've seen several of his videos and I've interacted in a couple of his chats. He's a very nice guy from the limited interactions I've had with him. So yeah, shout out to him. Go check out his channel if you guys have not yet. I always love to like kind of see the inspiration behind like the creators. So it's really cool to hear that he was one of the guys that kind of got you inspired. Flipping Sports Guy, what is up, my friend? Thank you so much for being here. We have Sensei Domino in the house. Good to see you. Swamp Picker's in the house.
Glenn.
What is up, Glenn? Good to see you, my man. So who was the very first guy you ever sent something TTM to? And TTM, for those of you guys that are not familiar, I'm reasonably familiar with the process of it, but essentially it's through the mail autographs, TTM. Who was the very first player person that you ever had sent something to?
I do not know that exactly off the top of my head, but I do got a little list. So give me a second. I'll try to thumb through here, and I'll give you back one.
Or even if there was like, a few guys that were like, man, I can't wait to send something to like this guy or that guy. Like, for example, I know Michael would be like Fred Lynn. For me, it would either be like a Anderson Varejao or obviously LeBron James probably isn't answering any TTMs, but you know what I mean? From what I understand, it's probably mainly like the older retire guys. Are those the guys that you want to target with this type of thing?
So when I first started doing this, I was only going to target Hall of Famers. So I think the first one was Brooks Robinson and Wade Boggs, I think, off of just quick memory. So when I first started, my first 2 months, that's probably all I did was like chase Hall of Famers or guys that were just like borderline Hall of Famers and so on and so forth. Then when I started doing it, man, you just run out of cards and you run out of, you can't send to these guys back to back to back, or otherwise, you're kind of burn the bridge down. That's kind of like a taboo thing. You're not supposed to send to them, but maybe once every 3 months, 6 months, or something like that. So I just started seeing all these other guys getting theirs back. So I went ahead and started dabbling with some Braves players or whatnot, and some of my PC players and stuff. And then once again, the addiction, it's an addiction, And I sit there and just started sending out to, just anybody that I could sit there and had a card of that signed, So
is there a list of like players that do this? Like, and if so, like, is there like, say, certain players that do this for free, certain players that, are going to want like paid X number of dollars per like signature? Like what are like the, I guess, unwritten rules to doing this?
All right. So the list as was worded was you can find it via several different websites on the web. And the most popular one by most people is called Sports Card Forum. You can sit there and go and set up yourself a free account. And then you sit there and put in different people's names. And then that will allow you to sit there and go in there and see who does or doesn't. You can click on different things. You can click on your different teams, Braves, or Lakers, and then sit there and give you a list of who does or doesn't. You can sort by that, or you can sit there and sort by, or you can go in there and search whether a player does or doesn't, and then you can kind of see whether they do or don't. And then once you find out if they do, then it sit there and kind of you can scroll through there, see other people's responses, what they paid or had to get that, and then sit there and tell you, the do's and don'ts, kind of, there in those there in the responses that other people post.
Oh, so in the responses, people might say, "Hey, if you send to this person, only send 2 or something like that." They'll put that type of stuff in there to give you ideas.
Like Ryan Sandberg is famous. If you sit there and send him 3 cards and $30 because he's $10 per, he's only going to sign one, and he's going to keep your other 30. So you better only send one card. And So forth. And that website was kind of tell you all that information.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's really useful to know. I'm sure that there's probably a ton of guys I'd probably want to send stuff to, and I have like so many cards just like piled up that I've collected over the years of just my PC guys. Real quick, I want to get to a couple questions. Mark made a comment about the sports Collectors Digest would send out a bunch back in the day and publish their results. That's kind of cool to see, like a blast from the past, not only with that publication, but a publication actually publishing like what they've done. That's like pre-vlog and YouTube type stuff. Steve has a question about the current PSA card price. Right now, the standard price for their special is at $19. That's at a 20 card minimum. And that would be either 1979 and older or 1980 or newer. And you need 20 cards of either of those categories to get the $19 price level. It's not as good as the most recent holiday special, but it's still, like, in my opinion, pretty good, because you're going to have to send at least, I think, 50 to, what is it, SGC to get the $18 price range. So in my opinion, like, I'm still sending cards at that price point. Myself and Marty actually just sent a order in just yesterday at that price level. So I think it's still a good price point. The thing with grading, in my opinion, is you can't grade as much as you used to. Like back in the day, like literally if it was a superstar and like some kind of parallel or, a rookie, like, even if it was like the Isaac Okoros of the world, I was sending those in and I was flipping them all day for like a 2 to 3 time double up, in a 9 or a 10. And now it's just like you can't really make money off of that stuff. Some of that stuff, like for example, like a Darius Garland, you might get a 9 on that. And it might only be sold for $10 or $12. At $19, you're not making any money on that. So I think you need to be a lot more selective in what you choose, even though the price points are dropping. A lot of times a 9 is, if it's ultra modern, a 9 is close to raw pricing. So you kind of want to comp some of the cards before you send them in. Like on newer sets, that's a little bit harder to do, but also in newer sets, you're going to be getting a premium. And PSA has been only taking about a month and a half tops to turn around a lot of these orders. So they're actually moving reasonably fast now compared to how they've been the past few years. So I think it's a good time to send to them, even though I'm not the hugest PSA fan personally, if I'm being honest. Flipping Sports Guy said, I did a couple when I was a kid. Most memorable was Donnie Baseball growing up outside New York in the 80s. That was awesome get. Yeah, I can imagine. That'd be a big one. Collector's Dream is in the house. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. Dave says, do you get them authenticated when you get them back, or are you afraid of their people signing?
Okay, so that being sit there and said as well, with this website is really good on sitting there saying who's maybe a ghost signer, who's had secretary type signer, and who's basically using auto pen. All that stuff's pretty well documented, because a lot of us TTMers, we do send them off to get them authenticated, and then quote get a whole bunch of from the same person that's coming back not authenticated. That's kind of known in the community and kind of spread, on those websites, plus, through YouTube and other social media outlets as well, and so on and so forth. So yes, now of course, most of us TTMers, we get, that are serious into it, might get 1,000 TTM back. So no, we're not going to authenticate them all. Like me personally, my goal is to authenticate all my Hall of Famers, that I send out, so on and so forth. And then just to kind of reply to Mark's comment there as well, a lot of them do sign for free, but most of your Hall of Famers are going to want $5 to $10 to $20, and a few of them even more than that. But you can still get a lot of star type players for free. Yes, that's correct.
That's awesome. It's really
and
cool.
You always put a self-addressed stamped envelope with it.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So here's a question from Craig. He says, how do you certify autos received aren't like machine signed, like, or if it's like someone else, like, do you ever, like, besides that website being like kind of pointing you in the direction of like the known, ghost signers or whatnot, I guess I can kind of show you a little bit of what an auto pen signature would look like. Give me a sec. I'm going to just share a screen. But in your experience, what are the things you look for when receiving a signature in the mail to determine whether or not it's been something auto penned or whatnot? So that way you don't waste your money trying to get it authenticated.
Yes. So basically, first, I kind of use the resources of people that I know to trust that and value their opinions. You can always kind of go that route, sit there and take a picture, send it to them. And also, you can kind of verify it with other known authenticated autographs. And then also, with the ink, with the auto pen, it's going to be clearly, it's hard for me to explain, but if you see an auto pen autograph, if one time you sit there and see a little blotchiness at the very end, a lot of times where the pen's trying to stop, it's just a couple of different tells that is just obvious. Once you see one, it's kind of easy to know when you see one of those ever again.
A lot of times, like he's talking about the blotchiness, it'll be consistent at the ends of the like this looks like it would be real, but again, it's consistent with like the little dots. And like it's even a little bit more consistent here, like where you see the real big blotches he's talking about. You can tell that's done by one of the machines because at the end the ink runs a little bit more before it lifts and moves on to the next letter or whatnot. So that's a pretty good giveaway that you might have an auto penned autograph and that it may not be real if you see those kind of ink splotches. Because most people don't just leave their pen lay there when they're writing. So that's kind of like a dead giveaway, at least from my perspective, on how to identify that. Is there anything else besides those splotches that you kind of look for?
Well, sometimes you can just sit there and see it looks like the autograph was just kind of like painted on there too. It's just overly, much too much ink there and too thick or whatnot.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, Mark. He says 75% of the people that do this are not looking to resell these. It's about collecting and the thrill of the chase. I completely get that because like that's how I feel about adding like a new LeBron or like, like one of the Cavaliers or Steelers that I'm like really, hot after for the moment. You know what I mean? Like I'm always like really pumped to get that and actually getting something that was like handwritten to me. You know what I mean? Even if it might not say to Anthony or whatever, it's like, hey, I remember like when I sent that to this guy, you know what I mean? And he took time out of his day to like literally write this for me. It wasn't just like he was sitting there getting paid $5 a sticker to fill this out for Panini or Topps or whomever. It was he got this letter in the mail and he was like, oh, cool. This is somebody who's like a genuine fan and appreciates what I've done with my life. And like to me, that means a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. But speaking about that with like a protocol type of thing, is it a typical protocol to write a little note to the person that you're sending them to?
That is what I would call a have to. It's mandatory. You should always write a little note, sit there and say, hello, so and so. Thank you for your time today. I would be honored to sit there and have you autographed. I watched you play, or just talk or something about them. If you know something history about them, or something like that. And I just love baseball, and I, simply put, I love the history of the game, and I love autographs, and I would be honored to get yours. It could be something just as simple as that. Sometimes also asking questions, as well. What was your favorite moment in baseball? Funniest teammate or something like that. Just to sit there and show that you're not, quote, quote, just trying to chase their autograph to sell it,
Right.
Most don't, but a lot of these players have been burned plenty of times where people just chasing their autograph to, quote, resell it or whatnot. So just trying to show, adding those notes in there shows that player that you're at least putting in some work or whatnot to get their autograph too, so they're more likely to want to sign for you.
Oh, yeah. Now, with a player you've never sent to before, do you typically start off with like a cheaper, like, maybe like dollar base card or something like that? Or do you typically always try to send a card that like you like to have signed by them?
That's a good question. It's kind of a 2 for 2, or whatever I'm saying, kind of two ways on that a little bit. You want to send a card that's going to actually as well look appealing signed, So I could sit there and send something like this that's dark and the autograph's not going to, quote, appear very well on the card. Or I can sit there and send something like this where the card is going to look really nice with autograph on it. So sometimes it's about that as well. You want something that's going to look good with ink on it.
Mm-hmm.
But also you don't want to sit there and typically send out a $200 or $300 card sometimes either. So that goes back to, once again, the success rate, on those websites will rank, hey, this guy's a 95% return or 100%, or 50%. And that will kind of determine as well what kind of card you send out. When I first started doing it, yes, I never sent out nothing more than a $10 card when I started getting into it. But I've sent there this year, sent out as an expensive card as $250, get it signed. So that's once I started building up a little bit more confidence in my game.
Yeah.
Sit there and realizing more locked in 100% kind of guys too.
That's awesome. So yeah, I mean, you definitely would want to make sure that you kind of have a good idea before you're sending out that $250 card, kind of like what are the guys that you would have success with or whatnot. So that's cool to hear. Has there ever been anybody that has been like rude to you in sending them something?
Okay, so that being said there and said, that's a good question. Rudens, it kind of became taken in various different ways, kind of, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? One person could say it is, and one person might not say it is what I'm ultimately trying to say. But like Jack Youngblood, I sat there and sent to him, and then basically he sat there and kind of, I can't remember what he did exactly, but he sat there and his note wasn't very nice wording per se, saying that he charges $15 now. When I sent it off, all the history showed he was free of charge. So then when I sit there and realize he's $15 per, no big deal. He's a Hall of Famer, defensive player in the NFL. So I went ahead and put my $15 back in there and resent it. But basically he just signed over the top of my index card where all my note was too and whatnot, as an extra signature, or whatnot. A lot of the players will sign your index cards for you too, but
Yeah.
he signed over my note, because I sat there and sent back to him correctly with the $15, like, thank you for bringing me my money, but I'm a jackass, pardon my French, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna write my note write my signature over your note.
Oh man. Yeah, that's a bummer. But at least I guess that's a one of one. Like I'm sure there's probably not very many like signed notes out there by Jack Youngblood.
I don't know if he does that consistently with everybody, but that for me is so. It could be a one-on-one. I don't know.
It's really cool. Have you ever tried this before, Michael? Like, is there anybody you've ever sent something like that to?
I have not. I've just been watching Adam and a couple other guys, and I don't know. I get what I find amazing is just the variety, not variety of cards, not variety of sports, but it's just like the variety of players. I was watching Mike with the Hot Corner, and he sent out to some guy. I was like, I've loved baseball my entire life since I'm 6 years old. I'm like, who is that guy? So it's like sometimes when you get these names, it's like, wow. And what gets me, it's like I'm just sitting there and I go, okay, what made you think of that player?
Yeah.
It's like you get like a guy who played baseball, in 1979, who had 3 games in the major leagues. It's like when you were looking through the list of people to send stuff to, like how and why that guy? But I guess the idea is like you said, Adam, the addiction of once you do one, you do another, you're probably looking more at success rate with a lot of them along with the players, right? Because if you're going to send out 10 per se, you'd like to have a good success rate of getting them back. So maybe out of those 10, you might add some of those ones that are lesser known players, but you know they're going to sign and you're going to get them back, right? So you can go ahead and you can get that feeling, yeah, when it comes back in. But that's always been my thing when I see the variety of these players that all these guys, that's true. I should get a Franklin Stubbs card because that's the first baseball that I ever caught foul ball was from Franklin Stubbs.
Nice. I wish I could remember who's the first one I've ever caught, but there's really not very many memorable Pirates from when I grew up, except for like Barry Bonds and like Van Slyke and Bonilla. Beyond that, it's all like guys that as soon as they got good, the Pirates got rid of them. Outside of like the little run we had with McCutcheon.
See, and I'm thinking, Rennie Stennett and Omar Marino and Dave Parker and Burke Campaneris and Willie Stargell. So I got another whole little bit before you.
Yeah, unfortunately, those guys were all before my time.
What's up, Rocky?
What's up, Rocky?
I wish I would have been born a little bit sooner because I would have then gotten the Super Steelers of the 70s and the Pirates of the 70s that were dominant. What is going on, Rad and Dad? Appreciate you being here.
Kent Ticovey, sure. John Candelaria. Would it be possible, Adam? I mean, I don't know if it's something you thought about doing or not and everything. If you're able to, would you be able to, share the screen of the website and maybe just like a quick search or something like that and maybe show some of those notes that you were talking about?
All righty. Let me
if you don't have to, looks for that. I just did a quick little Google search not too long ago, just of some different celebrities, and it literally has their name, like Mario Andretti, Lance Armstrong, some of these people I don't know, but like Kevin Bacon, that's kind of cool. Like Linda Carter, I'm pretty sure that was Wonder Woman.
Man, when you showed Kelly Clarkson, I hate to say it, I thought that said in care of KFC. I thought
KFC, yes.
Chicken. I was gonna say, oops, sorry.
So you got Daniel Craig. There's James Bond there. Billy Crystal. That's Mike Wazowski.
Have you done non-sports people, Adam?
Oh man, I got to get Robert Downey Jr. That's Iron Man right there.
Yeah,
I'm definitely doing this. That's going to be my first TTM. I'm going to send an Iron Man card to Robert Downey Jr.
Anthony, Adam's showing us something. Oh,
here, let me pop your screen up, Adam.
One of the greatest football players ever, right? Oh no, I thought that was Ed O'Neill
from Jeopardy.
Oh, Ken Jennings from Jeopardy.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
Then I also got the Fonz, Henry Winkler, and now
Very cool.
Travolta. I've gotten quite a few celebrities as well. I don't have a whole bunch of celebrity cards, but the ones I have been able to find and seen other people get, I'll buy a card and try to send out to them as well. So yes, I've done non-athletes as well.
That's awesome. The Hot Corner's in the house. Good to see you, man. Appreciate you being here.
What's up?
I just mentioned Mike the Hot Corner.
Mark says that Mike the Hitman Easler will be signing at the show on the 25th. Again, for anyone who is new to the room, since we shared it earlier in the show, March 25th here in Pittsburgh at South Point. Big show. Definitely want to make sure you guys come out and are a part of that with us. Should be a wonderful time. League of Her Own, appreciate you being here.
But I can sit there and definitely show you the website I use if y'all like.
Sure.
Yes, please.
Turned around here if I can get that.
If you're on mobile, it might not show it, but if you want to tell me what did you say the site was again, I can look it up on my end and share it on my computer.
All right. So basically all I do is sit there and go to the. I actually use this called Star Tiger. I'll go in here and I can click anybody's name. Like I'm about to sit there and send one out to Bobby Richardson. So I'll sit there and just put his name in here. Whoops. And then I'll just click, let's see, enter. And then I pull this up right here. And then it'll give me choices of different Bob Richardsons that's in there. And of course, I find the one that's a baseball player. And I go in over here and then sit there and usually tell me some information kind of up here generally a little bit. But here's what I like to go and do is look at the responses. Then you just scroll down and you can sit there and see all these ones that say successes and pendings. And there'll be red ones if there's a lot of RTSs, return to senders, meaning they don't. And so then once I find one of these, then I can start looking at the notes. Sent a card, signed, and inscribed 60 World Series MVP.
Oh, wow.
Then signed and sent, some literature back. Signed and religious pamphlet signed back or sent back. So that's kind of where I sit there and get all my information from. I use Star Tiger, which is just another form of the sports cards forum. This one does cost a little membership fee, but it has a lot more features that I like. So I utilize that.
That's really cool. Now, in this Star Tiger, this will do like all kinds of celebrities, not just sports, but like basically any kind of celebrity.
Yes. So I can go back to, let's see, the homepage. I don't.
So I had to write some notes.
What's up, PSA Ray? Appreciate you being here.
Hey, PSA Ray.
And there was a Collector's Dream says, is that a free site? Which you already had said that you do pay the premium. And Sensei says it's $6 a month. Appreciate you guys sharing that.
But like right over here, it has different, areas that you can kind of link into and so on and so forth. So this is where I can kind of go to if I was wanting to go to celebrities or just different things as well. It's got a lot of different options, but I can sit there and just go to search recent changes, my stars, browsers, my collections, requests, forums, my stars, and just anything. What was your exact question there? I'm sorry. I got attention deficit disorder. I forgot your exact question there.
No, I mean, we were basically just asking just if you could show us kind of your process and stuff like that. That's super cool, though. I didn't even really realize that there was a site like this. That
do you have to be a member to get the address?
Yes. Now, what's crazy is a lot of times, just to give you all a heads up, if you Google TTM Bobby Richardson, a lot of times you Googling that will actually allow you to get the information as well. So I've done that before too. Just Google, somebody say TTM, and then it'll sit there and give you the information via, that way. Just going to the web and just asking for TTM information. You can find anything on the web nowadays, right? So you ain't got to go to one of these websites half the time if you don't want to.
And just to give you guys another view of it, there's a bunch of different categories like he was showing us here on the side. Adult entertainment, artists, designers, authors, writers, business people, people in government or royalty, historic people, scientists, military, models, such as myself, obviously, musicians, other performing arts, religion, or sports. So it's kind of cool that there's like a litany of different type of people. Like if you're a Conaling or Rice fan, you could probably find her in there. I mean,
what probably be cool from like Allen and Ginter cards, right? Because they usually have all they have the non-sports people in there, or what's the other one that Upper Deck does? Upper Deck has that one
Goodwin Champions. I was actually just looking at a ton of Goodwin Champions today of like politicians and stuff like that. But yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, just going like basically into sports here, and then it breaks it down even more into like what sport you're looking for, which is very helpful. Nice wrestling. Now you're getting me down a rabbit hole here. But I mean, it's just super cool that you can literally click there. I want to look at basketball players. From there, it's alphabetical. And then you said you can also go by team as well. Was that right?
Yes, sir.
That's really cool.
And then like nowadays, they even got what they call team
Even
fan.
dance team. Wow. 76ers dance team.
What was that, Adam? They have team what?
Look, you can get Kareem. It was the 76ers dance team.
Oh.
Like teams do what they call fan packs, where you can sit there and email or write a letter for team swag or whatnot, and you can sit there and email or get the. You can get those email addresses, should I say, or the addresses to mail those requests in off of this website as well. So I know some of the deals will give you like T-shirts or notebooks, with their team logos on it, postcards, just pencils, just all kind of just different variety of team logoed memorabilia or whatnot. That if you just ask, they'll sit there and send it to you. Even the Metropolitan team in the New York City.
Thanks to Mr. Hipsley, I actually have something pretty good I could probably send to Tim Allen right about now. Let me show you guys.
So, Adam, as you started, I mean, go ahead.
This is what I could send to Tim Allen. This is that
the Santa Claus.
It's the Parkhurst Santa Claus card.
Very cool.
Green screen don't like me, but yeah, that would be a pretty cool card to get signed by Tim Allen, little Santa Claus card.
Now he signs just an A. That you're talking about new people today with their nice autographs that these kids have. Mr. Tim Allen loves to only sign with one letter, and that's an A.
Huh.
That is awesome, Sensei. That is a phenomenal tip right there. Literally save $120 and you'd get it to sign on his book that he wrote. It's really cool, and personalize it.
Oh, nice to know that, Sensei. I sit there and being a big Lakers fan, and I would love to read his book too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a heck of a tip. Yeah, I was just starting to go through this box a little bit, Mark. I haven't had a chance to I was going to do a live stream on this box. I ended up doing a big deal with Mark. Basically it was for this one box right here. It's like all different types of stuff. There were some slabs in there. It's like a 3-row. Then there's a bunch of stuff that's like top loaded, bunch of stuff that was like penny sleeved. And then he just gave me like a couple boxes for free on top of it. And I was going to do a live stream, but then my girlfriend was helping me like sort a bunch of stuff, and she like sorted like an entire row out of it. So I really don't know what like all was in the one row now. So yeah, it kind of ruined my plan on live streaming that, but I can still do like the other 2/3 of the box probably. Yeah. There's some good stuff in there. I did pull out a George Pickens autograph. It was like an RPA that I sent into PSA to get graded out of it, just because I'm a Pickens fan. Michael Ham's in the house.
Hey, Michael Ham, thank you.
See you, brother.
So, Adam, when you are doing, your TTM, are you trying to complete any certain things? Like, are you trying to complete like the 1982? New York Mets. I mean, I wouldn't be the Mets, but you know what I'm saying. Something along those lines.
Yes, I am currently got 2 to 3 projects in the run right now. I'm trying to complete the get as many of the 1986 Topps set signed from anybody. I'm even sending out the team cards or whatnot where it don't even show the name of the players on the front. I just know who the player is, and I'll send that card off, and so on and so forth. And really lucky enough that I gotten a whole bunch of Bill Mazeroski cards in my collection via one way or another. So I started sending some of them off. And then I started realizing, hey, I got about 12 of his 17 playing day cards already signed. So now, guess what? I'm trying to complete those last 5 as soon as I can. Well, and I also got a run of Whitey Herzog as well from his playing and also coaching days. So I sat there and got probably, once again, about 75% of those. So I'm trying to actually complete the last few of those. I need to do him for surely because he's like 90-ish years old right now. So sitting there trying to sign or get him sent off while he's still capable and so on and so forth. So I think those are like the 3 projects. And then Brooks Robinson, I guess, would actually be my 4th. So trying to get one of each of his playing day cards signed too.
That's super cool.
There's a question from David. His son is a huge Braves fan. Do they do any type of swag? Any insights of that type of stuff?
I have not been able to get a Braves fan pack yet. So that's another thing. When I talk about these fan packs, for some reason they are sporadically send them, and then sporadically they don't have any. So I think it's like, do they have any that they'll make up like 1,000, and once they run out, that's all they're going to do for that year or something like that for certain teams. And then certain teams might have more or whatnot. Certain teams will maybe only do like order 500 3 times a year or something like that from what I'm seeing. So you just got to sporadically request, and if you do it regularly enough, you might get them or whatnot. Some actually won't take the email request. They want you to mail a request in and so on and so forth. Or sometimes, they do and sometimes they don't. But the Braves, no, not at this current time have I gotten anything back, from any requests I sent out to them so far.
Quick shout out to my guy Thrift
Look at
Beast / Hobby Beast. Chris, appreciate you being here, my guy. If you guys are watching with headphones, just a quick disclaimer: I'm going to try a little super chat thing, and I don't know how loud it's going to be via headphones. But this is a Pittsburgh thing. Whenever it's the fourth quarter and the Steelers are getting hype, they play this song, and then the defense dominates. So I'm going to roll this out for super chats moving forward for the true Picksburgh theme. So shout out to my guy Chris. Here we go with the super chat. All right, Renegade. That's a Pittsburgh Steeler tradition. It's a fourth quarter, you hear that song, the Steelers are about to put a little pep in their step. That's right, Dave. Renegade, Pittsburgh tradition. Love the Fenway bag.
Because Mike from Hot Corner said that if you get a fan swag from the Red Sox, you get a bag of Fenway dirt.
That is awesome. That's really cool. That's something like that every ball club should somehow incorporate, because how often they probably have to fix their field, especially during season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like how much dirt they probably just discard anyway. It'd be easy just to scoop all of that and just send it out to people.
That's crazy how all these teams make money in so many different ways. Even the dirt.
That's right.
Yep. Yeah, who would have thought that dirt could be profitable?
Well, they sell all those old stadium seats once stuff gets old and stuff like that. They'll sell them to the car manufacturers, and they make relics out of those things now. They don't let. I'm surprised that eventually we don't get a straw relic from the park.
Adam, have you done any multiple player cards? I know back in 76, 77, 78, when they would do rookie catchers, or rookie infielders, and they would have the 4 little pictures of those guys. Would you send that? Well, obviously you do.
Yes.
Oh, very cool.
So that's got Bob Friend, Billy Pierce on there. Some people will send team cards out as well and try to get as many players off of that team.
Oh, that's very cool.
Awesome.
Irish card with about 10 autographs on there.
Let's go Bucks.
Very nice.
So, I've gotten some cards that, like Hall of Fame rookie cards, like Raleigh Fingers, Andre the Hawk Dawson, There's a Raleigh, and I got a Hawk in here as well. So you'll sit there and see some of them, go out as well. I only got one of their autographs on them and stuff, but some of the players' cards I have sent to multiple of the players and gotten them back, as you see with those first 2 I shared.
That's pretty cool.
Is there anybody in the TTM community that's just wildly regarded as don't ever send to this person because they're just going to trash your stuff or just not deal with you?
I've never experienced that. Most people, sometimes you just know that you got to take the necessary steps. Like me, Joe Carter, sit there and he does not care. He just wants to sign it, take you $5. So if you put basically any kind of little sleeve, he's going to put it right in the sleeve right away, and it's going to sit there and smear. So you'll just learn the tricks of do's and don'ts with certain players and so on and so forth. So him, you just want to sit there and send several extra index cards and just put it in the self-addressed stamped envelope with those index cards and let those use as to support your card or whatnot to where it don't get damaged. Because typically I like to use these pro savers or whatnot.
Yeah.
Cards, especially if it's a $250 card, right? I want it to come back, in a $250 card shape. So I like to use these as much as possible. But certain players over time, I'll learn, like Joe Carter's not a good one to sit there and send to unless you want it streaked, because he'll put it right in there without it giving it time to dry.
Dave says, I'm guessing Barry Bonds. Like, the funny thing is, when I asked you that question, literally the person I had in mind was Barry Bonds. Because, like, I've never met Barry Bonds or anything like that, but literally every single person I've ever met that has met Barry Bonds has all said that guy's a jagoff, which in Pittsburgh is basically means a-hole. The Hot Corner says, Torrey Smith said that if you send to his house, he will trash it. I actually, believe it or not, back in the day, I was a ball boy for the Steelers for 4 years, and I used to see people sending like stuff to the stadium all the time to like get signed. And there was this one wide receiver. He wasn't like he's not like one of our Hall of Fame players, but like he was a early first round draft pick back in like the late 90s. And like this dude would literally open it up, see that it's like a card, and just like throw the entire thing away. Like the letter, like everything, just like trash. And like as a kid, like I would watch that and they'd be like, yeah, I'm never doing that. You know what I mean? But like it's super cool to see that like if you'll go to the right people, that like people actually do like honor the fact that somebody cares about them. Because for me, like growing up like as a Steeler fan, like I'm thinking like, how could this be the case? Like, you know what I mean? You think of like the stuff you see on the news of like the players visiting children's hospital, signing the stuff, and like, like that's probably the sad truth is there's probably a percentage of the players, whether that's like large or even like maybe that's 5%, you know what I mean? Whether it's like the Barry Bonds-esque players out there, you know what I mean, that have that reputation of being like a little more harsh with their fans or not.
I've had several instances where players are the exact opposite as well. There's like Brooks Robinson a couple of times where I sat there and sent just a couple of beater cards, that had a couple of creases in it. He would just sit there and would add the Hall of Fame inscription or something like that, just free of charge. Man, this guy sitting there sent me $10 just to sign this raggedy card and then puts his inscription on it. I've had a couple of people give me their phone numbers and say, hey, man, appreciate you being a fan of mine. If you ever just want to chat and talk, here's my number. You know what I'm saying? I've gotten big time football players, phone number and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. Sometimes, speaking of smears or whatnot, I had sent off a Warren Moon reprint rookie card before.
That's awesome.
And it got smeared. So guess what this man did? He went and pulled one of his own original rookie card, signed it, and put it in a package as well.
Oh, wow.
That was really, really nice.
That's cool.
So a lot of these guys are man, they love the fact that they got fans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think more those are out there than what people want to sit there and say. And I just love this TTM thing and community.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, like, I'm excited to literally start sending stuff. Like, as soon as we're off the live, I have a Iron Man card that I've been, like, saving to send to PSA that I'm literally going to send to Robert Downey Jr. now that I have an address for him.
David has a good question.
Let me see if I can get to it here. Okay, cool. He says, was there more success with this 10 to 20 years ago compared to today with sports collectibles exploding?
Every decade has probably gotten a little less. So just imagine, back in the day, you could get Hank Aaron, Sandy Koufax, all the legendary Hall of Famers through the mail at one time, or through sending them to the ballparks or whatnot. So that's short through the mail. So nowadays, yes, it's tougher and tougher. These guys are having to train all the time. It's not even like some of them are just quote, quote, buttholes or whatnot. They just don't have the time. You got to put in the work if you want to be able to compete to the levels that they compete and so on and so forth. So, yes, it's gotten a little less on who does and doesn't sign, each decade or whatnot. Some gets tired of signing and you still would sign, they just want to eventually just retire from even signing cards too. So you'll even have that. So it gets less and less who does sign, over periods of time.
Do you, as somebody who does this a lot, like if you're, I guess I should probably ask, are you somebody who's like pro authenticating that signature, or being that you sent it out and it was to that person and it's real? Is that good enough to just kind of just keep it raw? Like, what do you prefer?
To me, once again, just the fact of eventually, like I've alluded to earlier, my Hall of Famers, I want to just get slabbed because, that just adds security that card is going to stay protected and so on and so forth. And I can sit there and show everybody that it is legit. But I feel so comfortable now with authenticating stuff. I feel like I could be a BGS or PSA authenticator or whatnot, because I know the signs of, the auto pen and so on and so forth. What's crazy is some of these people have secretaries autographs their cards that are left-handed when they're right-handed and so on and so forth. So you can just tell that the slants are just wrong and stuff like that and so on and so forth. Like I got one like right here, Mike Smith. I can authenticate that as secretary or auto, not auto pen, but secretary or ghost sign or whichever verbiage that you use or whatnot. But that's not Mike Smith's autograph, So.
Oh, so you just basically looked online and you can see.
Yeah.
So it didn't look right when you got it. So you said, "Hey, this seems a little off."
Yeah, because it's this right here. It's on the opposite side when he writes or whatnot. And so on and so forth. All of his legit, authentic, certified, pack product autographs is totally different with that first letter. So.
Michael Ham's asking if TTM works for spring training.
If you're going to try to get a quote, quote, current day player, that is the best time of the year to do it, is in spring training. Send to the spring training facilities, and that's where to get them at. Yes.
That's good to know. So I guess the same would be said for, like, if it's football, like say training camp, like when the players are like away for a month, at training camp, like maybe send it to, like, for example, the Steelers are at St. Vincent's College, maybe send it out there in hopes of, maybe catching them at the right time. Would you say that's the same across all sports, or just is baseball unique in that sense?
From now, I will not sit there and say I have extreme experience with other sports per se, because 90% of my TTMing is in the baseball realm. But the smidge that I've sit there and seen watching other channels and stuff like that, I'd agree with that assessment. But I'm not going to sit there and say I can vouch for it, with my own experience to the level I can with baseball.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, I would imagine baseball would be one of the more popular ones, just with it being like one of the more popular, I would say, as far as vintage cards go, as far as collectibles. And with, I guess, this being more of like an older generational type thing, not as far as sending them, but as far as like the guys who are more readily available for signing, that have the time to dedicate to it, and are willing to be like, oh, okay, I'll sign this card for $15 because that's worth my time, as opposed to a guy that's making multiple $1 million per year. It might not be worth his time to sit there and sign a card for, sub $20.
Well, I think you bring it up. It's also a point of it's seeing that card and it sparks a memory, of what happened, right? Hey man, I remember when I went to a baseball game and I saw this guy, make a play and everything, and now, wow, I had the baseball card and I send it in and he autographs it for me, So I think a lot of it is, when I watch, some of the, excuse me, the TTM videos, that's one of the things that I just love of seeing, like, oh man, I remember watching that guy play, or like I was saying before, who was that guy? And then just go and, Google him and go, oh wow, he played for a while. How the heck did I not know who he was and everything? Well, he didn't play a lot of games, but I mean, from that standpoint, so I think it brings back memories and stuff like that. So I think that's why, I think the people today, you know, you pick any player, right? I don't know, I wonder if they will do it, right? Like Luca, Ja, when you let's just say some of the basketball players, right? Some of the football players, Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence. You wonder, will they do that type of stuff, 10, 15 years down the road when you look at what is going on in the card community, in the hobby with their autographed cards?
You know what? Actually, speaking of some of those players that you just mentioned, Adam, do you have any idea like what the protocol is for, like, say, a guy like LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Darius Garland, for that matter, like guys that are signed exclusively to Upper Deck, like that, like they legally can't sign for like a Panini or a Topps or like, one of those type of companies? Like, are they allowed to randomly sign cards through the mail, or is that like a conflict of interest for them, being that they have? Do you have any idea?
Yes. So I can vouch 100% for the Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan isn't even going to put one of those cards in his hand with an ink pen. So no, he's only going to sign for Upper Deck on anything. So that being said, that wasn't always the case at one time. So now, like for me, I got two cards I know that are legitimately Michael Jordan's autographs or whatnot, because I got the picture of Michael Jordan signing those two cards,
Awesome.
and so forth. But I went to try to get them certified from one company. They wouldn't, because of that fact, oh, you don't sign that stuff. This was pre that contract and so on and so forth. So it's kind of, no, Michael Jordan's not going to sign anything that's not an Upper Deck. These guys are definitely, honored their contract.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Because there's guys like, I mean, obviously, like LeBron would be super difficult to get to, and I'm sure even Darius Garland at this point would be hard to get to. But I'd imagine even if you had the chance to get to him, like you're saying, like like, why would you turn down like a multi-million-dollar contract to sign a random autograph for some stranger in the mail?
But again, you wonder if the newer athletes, the guys today, if they are going to look at it differently when they see what is going on in the hobby with their cards, with their autographs on it, with what I'm saying. Are they going to be more open? Again, not right now. They're current players, but in 10 years from now, or more, are they going to, you wonder, are they going to be, willing to just, sign? Yeah, I know they may charge, but you just wonder.
To me, to be honest, I think you just hit with that last thing. They're going to charge. I think all these guys nowadays are about all things called the Benjamins, and every last one of them is going to sit there and say, "Oh, I can still get paid even though I blew through all my money," and so on and so forth. So then they're going to need more money when they retire. So yes, I think a lot of them's going to, and then a lot of them just love sports cards in general. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Mike Trout, several other players are just like super collectors. I don't know if y'all seen the YouTube video where Mike Trout is doing, autographs and getting them slabbed and stuff like that on his own cards and stuff. That's pretty cool that he loves that. So I think about the best player of this generation is going to quote unquote be a TTMer. I don't know how much he's going to charge one day, but
Yeah,
I loves the hobby that much that he's going to take care of the hobby, that he loves, so
That's really cool.
and we want to another subject is, a while ago you mentioned a couple of foreign born type players.
yeah.
In my experience, those are really, really good about wanting to try to TTM as well.
Really?
Dirk and a lot of hockey players and stuff like that. They're really good about wanting to TTM for us and stuff too. So
That's really cool.
money to send with global postage, but that's the reason why you usually want to try to send 2 or 3 cards if you can,
Yeah.
where you're getting enough back or whatnot. Or Dirk Nowitzki rookie card, even if it costs you 140, both ways, that's still a nice card to get some autograph on.
Oh, absolutely.
From your personal experiences, it's a 2-part question, and just, I mean, if you know, if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. You don't have to look up. But what if do you remember would be your shortest turnaround and your longest turnaround in a TTM?
Okay, so Charlie Huff sit there and took 2 days to get back because he lives one state over. So
Wow.
sent it out that morning. They got it over there, and he signed it that day and put it right back in the mail or something like that. I don't know.
Holy cow, that's pretty cool.
So 2 days. And then my longest, I want to sit there and say, was parlay, about 14-ish months or whatnot that I've been able to get back so far. I've sat there and seen some guys get one that's took 2 to 3 years to get back. But I've only been doing this roughly for like 2 years now. So it's not like I had anything out that long to be, more than that anyways. So
what they come in and you go, oh wow, I can't believe I got this back.
yeah.
Thank you, Sensei. Yeah, Chris. So TTM stands for through the mail. What we're learning today is how Adam actually sends cards to different celebrities and athletes and is able to get autographs back, for his personal collection and stuff like that. So, he shared with us a couple different websites that he uses to kind of look up addresses. Some of these websites will have data on like if the person is a person that's receptive to this type of thing, and if so, like if there's like a cost, like hey, this guy will charge $20, this one's $5, this guy's free, those type of things. We had talked a little bit about it last week, Michael and I, and he had brought up Adam, and this is kind of like part 2 of the continuation of last week, kind of going through that kind of stuff.
Adam, is there a periodical is not the right word, but something along those lines, maybe a post or a blog or something along those lines that says, who are the guys who are more consistent in their return rates? Or is that really, do you have to really kind of look at each player? Or can you, if you just wanted to if you want to get started, like if I want to get started, I would want to try and get some just to go ahead and get the feel and get it said, hey, it's working and so on and so forth. You know what I'm saying? From that standpoint.
Yes. So it's back to those websites. Those websites do provide that kind of information.
Oh, okay, good.
For us or whatnot, and so on and so forth. And then, just watching type in TTM, on YouTube, you'll find at least 1,000 of us TTMers out there or whatnot.
Oh, wow.
And so on and so forth or more, and you'll sit there and see like me, Sensei, Mike, at the hot corner, we always, a lot of times are getting the same autographs back roughly about the same amount of time, like some people only sign like twice a year or once every 3 months or something like that. So you'll sit there, oh, okay. You see everybody's getting them. So I know that guy signs and kind of stuff. So, as well too, seems like everybody's got a high percent of signing. So I use that as some degree too. Okay, all these guys, like Bob Greasy, Hall of Fame quarterback for the Dolphins. I sit there and didn't know he TTM, and I started seeing like 6 guys get them. So I put a card in the mail the very next day and got it back in like 2 weeks. Most of them guys had to wait a year because he roughly only signs a little small window of the year. So I signed it and I got it out, So sometimes it's like that too. So
what I'm really
the website will tell you if there's a fee, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know what I'm really shocked on just hearing a lot of this stuff? Like I'm just like seeing like through all of this, like there's a perfect opportunity for somebody to just show up and build like an awesome business to like meet the needs, not only of like the TTM people that are trying to get autographs, but also of the athletes that after they're past their prime and can't like actually go anymore. Like that's a good way for them to monetize their likeness. You know what I mean? I'm surprised there's not like a website out there that basically matches athletes with people that want to get stuff signed by them. Like for example, like the Comic-Con circuit. You know what I mean? Like you're a athlete or a entertainer of some sort. Once you're kind of like past your prime, you can make a really good living for yourself going to Comic Cons because you're going to meet the people that basically are like diehards for like what your career was. So if there was somebody that could literally connect people like in some kind of a social way, like, hey, I'm going to connect you with Mike Trout. You're going to be able to send in X, Y, or Z. We're going to guarantee and authenticate that it's a real signature. And you're going to actually be able to interact with Mike Trout. Like you can text back and forth or do X, Y, or Z. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like it would be that difficult to do. You know what I mean? And then that company just takes their little percentage in connecting the two people together. Like I'm surprised there's not anything like that in today's modern world.
So Mike over at the Hot Corner and Tony at Sensei both chimed in what I was going to allude to myself. There is like that, a company called Pass Pros. There's a couple of out there like that where they basically go and network with a group of past athletes and form a bond or a contract with them. Hey, we get so much for your autograph, and we'll sit there and basically do all the business side. We'll collect the money, all that type of stuff, and so on and so forth. Collect the cards, get them signed, and so they do all the work for a certain fee. And then those players get the rest of the money kind of deal to where they don't have to kind of deal with, opening up the packs, and all that stuff, returning them all and all that stuff. They'll just get a lot of cards. They'll get them all signed, and those agencies will send them back or whatnot. Sometimes they will even directly give you the address and you send them to the players via that way too. So, there is kind of somewhat that, out there with Pass Pros, and I know there's one or two other companies like that too. I don't know their names right off the top of my head.
This is really cool. Yeah, this is like exactly what I was thinking of, is like something that like guarantees like it's the real person, and like it kind of mitigates the risk on the collector. So like, say Reggie Harris is like Mike Trout and I have a rookie card and I want to send it to him. I don't want to risk losing my Mike Trout rookie card. You know what I mean? Like, that's a really good idea.
So
it's cool to see that somebody's doing this.
Yeah. So sometimes even those, when they're doing that and they actually will bring these players in to do the signing type things on that kind of side, they'll even offer like a authentication with JSA or one of those other companies at the same time too, for an additional like $5 or $8 or
advance. Like I got 1 million of his cards I can send out. It's my guy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. Like you literally got my mind going, Adam. Like 1 million different miles an hour.
I don't have time for this, man. Holy crap. How am I going to do this now?
What is up? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
Dr. Mantis. It's really, I don't know. It's such a cool aspect of the hobby, and I think, Anthony, like when you spoke about, like the Pittsburgh Pirates from your area when you knew and everything. And then I look at, at me and thinking about, in the middle, the 70s and stuff. But, and Adam, you make a great point of that, some of these guys you think about, right? If you're looking at guys that played in like 1975, okay, it's been 50 years since they played, and or close to it, and then you figure, if they were 20-something-year-old, now they're up, in their late 70s, early 80s and stuff, and some of them, if you want to get them, and if they do, you really need to do it now, because the next thing you're, to your point, like 10 years ago it changed a lot because you were able to get some of those some of those players who passed away, who you can't get now. So it's it's
Yeah, like Wayne Gretzky, the greatest hockey player of all time, used to TTM. Now he doesn't. You know, every now and then, one or two people get like a lottery ticket autographed through the mail, but you know, the rest of the people don't. You know, Peyton Manning, you know, he still does a lottery ticket. You know, he'll get 10,000. He'll go grab three, sit there and sign those three, put them in the mail, and RTS the other 10,000. You know, so
Oh wow, really?
yeah.
Oh wow. Huh.
It's at least nice to know that they will return to sender it. You know what I mean? Rather than just keeping it or pitching it, because
Yeah,
that would
because
always be like something I'd be concerned with. Is like, oh man, this card's gone now.
now some
I don't.
people do that though. Some people, if you don't pay their fee, they won't even return your card back. I've sat there and experienced that a couple of times and whatnot. Luckily, I didn't sit there and send nothing but more than a $10 to $15 card in those experiences. Luckily,
Yeah, but I've seen some. I've watched videos and be like, you know, oh, I sent three, only sent two back, and only signed one of those two, or something along, you know, along those lines and stuff. And like you said, there are others that I've watched, you know, people open up, and there is a note in there. Hey, yeah, you know, thanks a lot. You know, my favorite moment was, or blah blah blah. You know, and some, you know, like you said, with that type of thing, you know, and you know, from that standpoint, it really, I mean, it really is very, very interesting, and you really can see how, you know, you could see how all of a sudden when that mail comes back and you see it, how it's like, oh my gosh, I got to send more out because this was cool.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's no different than buying a card. You know, like, you know, you buy a card, you're waiting for it to get back, and you're going, oh man, this is, you know, this is great and everything.
yeah.
So it's very good. It's such a cool part of the hobby. Such a cool part. Can you only send cards, Adam?
You can send photos. Sensei sends a lot of just index cards, you know, to some of these people, and we just get the index card signed. You know, if you don't have a card of a certain or a certain actor, a certain star, you can just send an index card as well. You know, and I know one or two YouTubers that's really all they do is just send index cards. So yeah,
Oh
she
wow.
different things or whatnot, and so on and so forth. And like Mike from the hot, he sends a lot of 8x10s out, a lot of even bigger than that. You know, he's got like some custom pieces, and he gets a lot of IP autographs as well. You know, in persons, and create like a montage of, you know,
Mm.
football, the Eagles, which is his team. You know, it's pretty cool. You know, you can just be imaginative as you want with this game or whatnot.
Do you store these any different than you do, you know, your other cards? Are these binders, or do you just kind of have them in, you know, your normal boxes?
It depends on who they are. Like my Hall of Famers in penny sleeve, top loaded, and team bagged or whatnot. So I'm saying, and going back to like an inscription, you know, like Larry Walker, the Hall of Famer. You know,
Oh
he
wow.
got to Adam, best wishes, and he got 19 plus the Hall of Fame 2020.
That's
So
awesome.
and he legitimately signs and is known to be a great signer as well. These have come back authenticated or whatnot. So just something other with that. And I did have one thing that a lot of people might not know about, and that's like, let me find one of these cards here that I pulled out to the side to kind of show in that. Uh,
Thanks for stopping by, Rocky. Definitely appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks for being here, brother.
so I pulled out a couple of cards here. One is like this foily card right here. So this has got a lot of shine, and
Mm.
Oh, that's
quote
nice.
quote naturally prone to smear, right? And likewise with this Richard Petty or whatnot. So there's different thoughts on and different opinions on different ways to sit there and create to where that autograph will stick onto those cards better. And you know, some people will actually put baby powder on these cards. Some people like to use dryer sheets, and some people will use these dry erasers as well. And you just wipe it across the top or pour the baby powder on the top and just kind of, you know, and then you put that in the self-addressed stamped envelope. And that way that autograph will be less likely to smear and sit there and stay on there. Usually when I'm sending vintage out to like Joe Carter, I don't think they'll ever do that because you start doing this with those type of cardboard and ink, you can rub your quote the print off the card as well, doing it that way or whatnot. So I try not to do those because that I'm thinking, the ink's not going to smear. But anything that's kind of got a glossy coating or some foily action to it, you just rub this across it a couple of times, or a dryer sheet, put it in baby powder, and that's how you can get a nice, fresh, solid autograph on those cards.
Oh wow,
it's a nice little trick to know. Because that
thought
would be something I'd be concerned with. Do you ever have an issue with them damaging your card, like maybe say dinging a corner, or do you just not worry about the condition of the card you send? Like the main thing is that you're getting a card you like autographed.
If I'm sitting there sending it paid autograph, most of the time I like to send it in this so it doesn't get damaged. If you put this in there and a couple of index cards, it usually 99% of the time don't get damaged. Now, there's been a time or two where the post office doesn't sit there and like to be nice, and they sit there and have put my cards in the rain, and then put it in my mailbox, and then they'd be wet or whatnot, and so on and so forth. So luckily, most of the time when I'm doing that, it's not one of my big name players per se, so it's not as bad as deal. But I have had some cards creased and water damaged because of that, but usually at least knock on wood head per se, that those were like no name kind of players per se. Nicer player, I'm always going to just put it in this. If it gets smeared by Joe Carter or something like that, it just does.
Huh.
I'd rather have my card folded in half like either. So
post office is the biggest risk. That is definitely true.
Yeah, I would imagine too, especially with stuff that you're pricing it out with just a stamp most of the time. Yeah. Unless it's a bigger card, you're probably not going to put tracking on it, especially if you don't know if they're going to actually sign it and send it back.
Well, you can't put tracking on it when it's coming back, so you can only put tracking on it when it's going there. Now,
yeah, for sure.
So when I sit there and send it to like Steve Carlton, his rookie card that I have here somewhere that I was going to show, I sent there and sent that with tracking there, so I can make sure it got there, and I'm going to probably do that anytime I'm sending a card that's probably worth $50 or more. So that card right here, I sit there and sent with tracking there just to make sure it got there.
Yeah.
Because that's a $250 card in that kind of condition on eBay. So I sit there and said, man. And I was sitting there, I had my cheeks squeezed pretty tight.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
What kind of turnaround was that you had to really
45 days I was squeezing.
Woo, man.
Man. Is that typical to wait 45 days for something like that? Or is most people quicker?
Just depends. That a lot of times when you're going through an agency, so they went to an agency or whatnot. So that did take a little longer because then they sit there and send it to Steve Carlton, and then he signs it or whatever, or he comes there. I don't know what they do. I've been told certain players do certain things with that, but then they would mail it back to me there afterwards. So it had to go to them, then go to him, back to them, and then to me. So it was 45 days. Most turnarounds with pass pros, like pass pros usually will give you the people's addresses or whatnot, unless you're using one of these other agencies. But they will give you the player's address where you send it to them, and they'll usually send it back. So that's just, once again, goes on how fast these people want to do their mail per se.
Dr. Mantis says it's good to use a team bag in case your package is sitting out on the dock in the elements, snow or rain. Absolutely. And coming from Pittsburgh, it would definitely be in the elements. So that's a great little pointer to put out there as a team bag, or even I love using them graded card bags a lot too. They're kind of like big team bags.
If you're mailing cars to a friend or selling cars, this and that works. But earlier you seen Sensei's comment earlier, he would mention that a lot of people that are these older people, they don't know that's a team bag there. So guess what they autograph instead of the card?
No.
Yeah. Autograph
really?
bag or that top loader or whatnot, and so on and so forth. So, once again, that's not necessarily the quote, quote, cure for it, unless you're looking for a really cool team bag autograph.
I'm pretty sure I actually have. Actually, it might even be sitting over here still.
So sometimes you'll just send a card in between a couple of index cards.
Yes.
It's like one of them old Snap cases signed by John Wiener. It's like an old Pittsburgh Pirate. It's kind of the same thing. Like,
nope.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the camera here, but basically it's an old TTM. But he signed it instead of on the card. He signed it on one of them old snap down cases.
Oh wow!
Like it was like the mag case before the mag case. Signed it literally John Wiener on the case. And
the one touch before the one touch.
Correct. Yes. And being that I'm a Pirate guy, of course, I got the autographed John Wiener card that is literally not autographed on the card, but on the snap case.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
It was just so unique. I had to get it. Not only did he play for the Pirates, but his name is Wiener, and it was autographed on a case instead of the card. So,
just too bad his first name wasn't Oscar.
Yeah, and middle name Meyer.
Imagine though, like Trish Stratus TTMing.
That would be cool. Actually, you know what? Let me take a look at the wrestlers that are on this Tigers.
Kelly.
Yeah. Let's see here. Sports.
That's all good, man.
So that being said, a lot of wrestlers are good TTMers.
Really?
Yes. So like I got like a Kurt Angle one here somewhere.
Pittsburgh royalty.
That's right. That's a TTM.
Yeah.
Wow. So he obviously you have the one thing you don't have any control over of is what they sign with, correct?
That's correct. Now, some people will ask nicely, hey, can you please sign with blue ink or black ink? And my deal is that's kind of hard to do. Some people actually even will send their own ink pen with their card if they're truly wanting to sign in a certain color ink. And usually you're more likely going to get it done if you send the colored ink that you want them to sign. Otherwise, they're going to sign with black or blue, whatever they want to. So if you want to sign with a different color ink, you should be the one that's sending that marker, in my perspective, and probably most of the signers' perspective as well.
Oh, very cool.
There's Kurt Angle. Man, there's a ton of wrestlers on here. I'm still in the A's.
Well, Lonnie and Noy, that's Nia Jax, I think, right?
I don't know. I know that the Anoas, like those are like the actually she might be Leah Noah, actually, I believe.
Oh no, Lee, that's
debuting with the Shield. Doesn't make
that's
sense.
Not.
Oh. I don't know. That's like Roman Reigns' family, I believe.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. Pretty darn cool.
It's crazy just looking through the A's. There's like 1,000,001 of them. So, there's definitely going to be a lot of fun going on later on, trying to figure out who we're going to be sending to. You know what we should do? We should, you and I this week, Michael, we should pick like a couple guys that we want to send to and see how long it takes to get them and then reveal them on the show.
Oh. Look up Anthony Hansen. Does he TTM?
You know what? That guy would TTM for you. I'm pretty sure he would hook up anybody that'd be interested in getting one of these signed. I can make that happen for you, Mark. I just would have to locate one of the cards. Fortunately, I have like one left, and it's like my own personal card.
He does TTM.
Yes, he does. That's accurate.
That's him, Adam.
I'm going to definitely have to send Kurt Angle something.
That is definitely him. That's Anthony right there.
Yep.
That is sweet. I love channel swag. That's cool, Michael.
That's Picksburgh. That was Picksburgh right there.
Yep, that was me when I used to wear spandex.
That was one size too small for you?
Oh yeah. It might have been more than one size too small. It It wasn't not a pretty sight. It's a good thing I was a heel most of the time, because it's really hard to be a baby face when you got belly flap flowing in people's face.
Man.
So yeah, that's awesome. Like, I'm definitely gonna have to send Kurt Angle something. I do see that Sensei says that he's a pretty good TTMer. It's awesome.
Yep.
Cool. So is there anything, I guess, like, in closing, I don't want to keep you too long. I mean, I don't know like what your schedule looks like or anything, but is there anything in closing that, like, somebody getting into this, like myself and Michael, or just like anybody watching this, is there any like I guess mistakes you've made that you can help like us avoid, or like what advice would you give somebody new starting out?
Let's see. My advice is to sit there and start off small. Sit there and don't send out nothing that you would not want to quote not get back per se. You know, if it like a $250 card, if you can't afford to lose $250, don't send a $250 card out. You know, and so on and so forth. My deal is start off small. You know, you can get Hall of Famer, you know, cards on Allen and Ginter. You know, now this ain't a Hall of Famer, but he's going to be one potentially. Votto, you know, and this card that you can get for $1, you know, rookie card. You know, or Ozzie Smith, or even though Ozzie Smith don't TTM, but you know what I'm saying, you can get Hall of Famers and these type of cards right here for 10 cents to 25 cents. And you send these out to get them autographed, and no harm, no foul if you lose it, versus sending out a rookie card of theirs and then you don't get it back $10 or $100 or $200. You know, it's a little bit hard more times than not, right? So start off small, sit there and start off with the free players or $5 players or $10 players. Keep yourself on a quota or whatnot, because it can get addicting like I do. You know, there's been times where I send out as many as 50 in 1 week. You know,
Nice.
and so on and so forth. So, you know,
So
that's
if you send out 50, how many of those do you realistically think that you're going to get back?
all of them. I sit there and I'm a optimistic person by nature, by the way, and so on and so forth. So I feel like I'm gonna get them all back. But usually, it probably out of 50, you're probably gonna maybe get one that's lost in the mail. You're gonna get, you know, a couple of them that didn't sign them, and you know, you might get 3 of them RTSs. So you did kind of get them back, but you know, so on and so forth. So you probably can somewhere between a 38 to we said 50, right? So somewhere between 38 to 45ish, you know, and so on and so forth. Probably closer to that 45, in my opinion, probably 42ish.
That's awesome.
The 45 range would probably be more legit, but on a bad streak, you know, it could be a little less.
What type of money do you typically try to shoot for, like, per TTM, like, as far as price? Do you tend to lean more towards, like, the free guys, or do you try to go towards the guys that are going to be a little more, like, expensive long term? Or like, what type of strategy would you say is kind of best for somebody just new getting into it to kind of go with?
That's depending on somebody's budget. You know, like my budget, I sit there and I live modest when it comes to vehicle, home, and stuff like that, and what I eat and stuff like that, what I wear. You know, I'm a kind of blue jeans and t-shirt kind of guy. Don't have to have a, you know, a house that quote my salary says I can afford, and so on and so forth. So it allows me a little bit more money to spend on my card collection. And people jokingly say I have a card mansion or something like that from time and stuff too. But I sit there and shell it back on the hobby that I love, and my woman that I love, you know, and so on and so forth. So it's I can afford, you know, sending out $100 a week, you know, in TT and whatnot, you know. Some people it might be only $10, you know, and so on and so forth. So you just pick one Hall of Famer or one, you know, person that charges that. You got to stick to it, you know what I'm saying? Don't ever go beyond your means and be homeless because you're trying to quote cardboard or collect an autograph, you know, and so on and so forth. So I usually will try to send out about 5 to 10 Hall of Famers per month. So I'm getting a couple back per week or something like that, you know, to go with my non Hall of Famers.
That's awesome, man. I love that comment. And honestly, I'm the same way, Egg. Like, if I could wear mesh shorts all day, every day, I don't know that I would wear other clothing. Like, I just like to be comfortable. You know what I mean? I like to wear t-shirts, jeans, like regular, dude at card show stuff, attire, I guess. Um, definitely check out Egg, though. He has a pretty cool channel as well.
Yeah.
He does some pretty awesome auctions as well. Sensei says he does a lot of the free ones, which I'll probably start off some free ones. I got to try that Robert Downey though. If I can get something signed by Iron Man, I got to. He said paid for 2 autos so far: Brooks Robinson and Carl Erskine. That's not bad. There you go, Chris. That is the attire of champions right there, my friend.
Oh man.
Kudos for best attire of the chat this evening.
But I guess it's like with anything, this is it's part of that hobby that, like I think everybody said, it can get addicting very, very quickly. So I'm sure it is, you need to start off, small. I think it might be, I guess if you're going for free ones and stuff like that, it might be easy to think, oh, I could just go ahead and send out, 50 or so because they're just free and stuff like that, and not have to worry about it and everything, but I would think, like with anything, start with like, 3 to 5 and see how it works out. But like, like everybody's saying, maybe start with some free ones until you feel comfortable enough that you're doing the right thing. Because like you said, Adam, part of this is writing a little. It's not just sticking a card in an envelope with another envelope with a stamp on it and sending it to them. You want to put a little, if you want them to give you something personalized back, you need to send something personalized, to them.
Now, some of them guys will never even read the notes, but some of them do. And like I said, in my experiences, some of them will answer your questions. Some of them even, I've gotten, like I said, their phone numbers and stuff, and so on and so forth. And another cool aspect of all this, just imagine when game used relics first come out, that was like the rage, Those things were like expensive, even for just an average player, you know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. Now they done kind of lacked a little bit of the luster since they started just doing game, not necessarily game used, but worn or whatever, whatever that new applications they throw on them cards nowadays. But just think that these guys actually had your card in their hand and autographed it. That's cool.
That is really cool.
I had the great Hall of Famer Carlton, or your favorite football player, Dominic Hasek, just whoever, had these cards in their hand and signed them for you, so on and so forth. So to me, I like that aspect of it as well, that I got that person to spend their time for me, so priceless.
What percentage of cards do you think TTMers normally have trouble with getting like authenticated, whether it's like PSA, Beckett, JSA? And is there like a preference like that you guys have? Like I know Beckett has like the UV protection to where like it'll help keep your autograph from fading. So I don't know if like maybe that's attractive to you, or maybe PSA because it might get you more of a premium on the resale market if you decide to move it. Like where do you guys like typically?
So currently most TTMers right now would send a Beckett, and it's because of Beckett will actually also authenticate what card it is and label, hey, this is a 1990 Donruss. If you're sending it to PSA right now, you got to pay an upcharge for them to sit there and put that's a 1990. Otherwise, they'll just say trading card, authentic autograph, and then they'll sit there and authenticate it. But if you want them to say 90 Donruss, you got to pay extra for them to actually grade the card as well. Right.
Wow.
Otherwise, they're only going to put trading card on there. So then you don't get the, hey, is that a reprint or is that the actual card kind of deal? It could be a reprint card too. You just know when you're trying to buy it off of, eBay or wherever you're trying to get it. So I like Beckett right now just because they are actually label what the card is and so on and so for. So if you got a rookie card of a Hall of Famer, you want it to be known as a rookie card, not potentially a reprint, you know?
Absolutely. I completely agree. And
Very
like
cool.
they you know, just the qualities they put in their slab really too, like in my opinion, makes it a lot more attractive, especially if it's, you know, like this is something you're probably going to have a memory attached to. You know what I mean? Like most of these cards, you've probably sat there and wrote something from your heart as you were sending it. So, you know, like you definitely want to make sure that that gets properly protected long term. It's really cool. So any last minute things that you would like to share, Adam, before we start to kind of wrap it up this evening?
Basically, if you still have any questions ever, like I done told anybody, I was graciously helped so much with all the questions I ever had by Haas, by Michael Myers, by several other TTMers, even like the Hot Corner Mike. He's asked me before for an address, and I've asked him for an address before. We're some of the most giving of our time, so we understand sometimes what it takes to try to find an address. So all that being said, if you have questions, reach out to any guy that TTMs. I promise you, we're very generous with our answers and our time, and we want to help you get started. So don't be scared. Call one of us, message one of us, or whatever, and we'll all help you. I promise you that. I definitely will.
And I'll definitely take you up on that because like I said, I'm definitely going to try to send at least a few out this week because I want to try it, like, you know, for my own personal collection, but also like to see, like, you know, if me and Michael can get some cards come through on the channel, that'd be cool for the show. What's up, Dom? Good to see you, brother. Appreciate you being here.
I got a pile of cards to go through.
You got anything specific coming up over this next week, Michael, before we're on your channel?
No, not really. Nothing super duper yet. I am working on, like I said, you know, the rip and ship live stuff. I'm considering doing maybe a basketball break and a football break. You know, seeing about, you know, about that type of stuff, what that would be like. I'm not sure, you know, what avenues to go through on those two. And then possibly even adding a baseball break to that. So I'm just trying to, you know, stay involved as much as possible and everything. So not too bad.
Well, again, guys, make sure you go and subscribe to Huddle Card Collection because the next week's show we're going to be over on Michael's channel.
Yep.
So again, it's going to be like a bi-weekly thing where we do it every week, but bi-weekly it's on my channel, then it's on his channel. We kind of rotate back and forth. It would also be awesome if you'd go and show Adam some support for all the awesome knowledge he shared with us today, and will probably continue to share with us via his YouTube channel, you know, as he continues to get more stuff back throughout the mail. I, you know, really appreciate you guys showing him some love for, you know, all that great info he gave us today.
Yeah, one other thing I want to add is, guys, you know, and girls, you know, anybody watching the replay and everything, you know, we did this. We talked about it a little bit, and then we got a suggestion you know, from the chat to, you know, hey, reach out to Adam, and you know, reached out and everything. So if there's other kind of stuff you want to see in this, you know, in the hobby, go ahead and, you know, drop a comment. We will go ahead and, you know, we'll do our best to, you know, to get somebody. Maybe we can't push it that fast and get it the following week, but you know, we'll go ahead and you know, we'll try different things. I mean, we'll try and bring different things on. Again, when it comes to the hobby, just, you know, let us know. You know, we're here. We love doing this kind of stuff. I mean, we've been, you know, we've had a great time. This is, you know, what, number 3, number 4,
Yep.
episode number 3. And, you know, and having a lot of fun and hope to keep going and you know, really just keep moving forward. And again, with your guys' help and your guys, you know, giving us some, you know, number one, giving us the opportunity to get in front of you and listening to us is awesome. Give us ideas. We will gladly go ahead and, you know, hey, Eloy, how's it going?
Up, man? Good to see you. Appreciate you being here.
You know, from that standpoint. So please, you know, drop comments, let us know what's next, and we'll pursue it.
Yep. And again, any topics, like Michael said, feel free to leave in the comment section. We do read the comments that are down there. Again, any other questions you have, leave that down below as well. We appreciate you guys. And again, next week, we'll see you again on Huddle Card Collection.